If a great storyteller tells you an extraordinary story, it's quite a visual experience. You know, you have this movie that plays in your head and it's full of atmosphere. And what I wanted to do was sort of dramatise that movie that plays in your head.
You have to think of a clever way of telling stories where all of the events are in the past and where there isn't a lot of natural archive. Bart and Eric, the DOP, went off and recce'd various places in the States and in Spain, looking for the right locations.
One of the things we ended up doing as a recce tool was filming actually every scene that we ended up shooting in the film, with us acting out the different bits, just to make sure we were totally prepared.
This way? It's great, isn't it?
Drama in documentary is often really frowned upon for lots of reasons.
And out.
I think where drama can get dangerous in documentary is where it's being presented to the audience as a kind of fake archive.
Nicholas Barkley?
When you go to the movies, it's all about the suspension of disbelief. Right from the very beginning, I wanted to make clear to the audience, I'm not trying to show you a piece of fake archive. We're having a kind of visualization of the story that this person is telling you, and this is not what must have happened here. This is what someone wants you to believe happened. I'm trying to show you someone's imagination and may or may not be reality. So rather than encouraging you to suspend disbelief, at times you're being encouraged to suspend belief. When you think about how you remember things, often it has this slightly floating, dreamlike quality. Some of the techniques that I used to create some of that were shooting slightly off frame, so things run a tiny bit slower. I wanted conflicting colour temperature.
The colours were always more saturated than they normally would be. You have the strange moonlight that's very blue, and you have the street lights that's more orange than usual.
And all of those tropes of film noir and all of those things seem to lend themselves very well to not only the subject matter, but also this desire that I had to not make it like a verite documentary.
My background is really drama, so we brought in props and we used lights and we set up shots and we used tracks and we did all these things that you know, it's more from a movie.
It was kind of terrifying. This is on a scale which is above and beyond anything that we've ever done before. Bart tells this great story of coming up to the square in Spain on the day we were going to shoot our opening sequence, which was also the first day of the shoot in Spain, and suddenly realising there was another film, a bigger film, shooting in the square at the same day and being absolutely terrified that how are we going to fit around this other unit, and tens of trucks lined up and all of this equipment being unloaded, and then suddenly the penny dropping and that's us.
It was a night shoot. We needed extras, so there were a police car and blocking off roads. And the water, that was good. It was proper film rain.
I was kind of in a wetsuit underneath the costume because I had to sit in the rain for a couple of hours or something. Yeah, lots of hot coffee and stuff.
You can plan and you can go and recce and you can test things out, but it's not actually till the day when you have the lights there and actually put the camera up. And you look through and you go, yeah, okay, yeah, it works. This is what we set out to do. We've done all this work to get it to this place, and now we're shooting what we want to shoot.
The challenge here was to do something that felt genuinely cinematic, and there is a real boldness in what Bart has done visually.
I think that Bart and Dimitri together and the whole of the Raw team have achieved something truly remarkable with the drama in The Imposter. It has a confidence and an eye and a direction that smacks of a man who knows what he wants and is in charge of how he's trying to get it.
I think what this film represents is the emergence of a really significant new directorial talent.
I think that The Imposter has broken ground in terms of documentary filmmaking.
One could talk endlessly about what documentary should be, and I think there are people who believe very firmly that, you know, there are certain lines that shouldn't be crossed, and I think ultimately filmmaking is a very subjective experience, and anyone who's sat in an edit suite or picked up a camera or whatever, you're making choices. Of course, there's a lot of directorial choices made in this film, but I feel like the starting point is the story, and it's a film about manipulation and the elusiveness of truth. And I wanted to try to find a way of telling that reflected what it was about. There's a moment early on in the film where the actor speaks the words of the interview to the camera.
I wasn't the one who was telling them I've been sexually abused.
I showed it to someone at an early screening of a rough cut, and they said, "You've got to take that out." You know, it threw me out of the film. And I was like, no, that's kind of the idea, to make you aware of the artifice somehow, to make you aware that you're not watching the reality. We're playing with these ideas of memory. And memory can be unreliable, and you know, all of these ideas of how to visualize someone's subjective version of events.